Good day, everyone. Morning, good evening, good afternoon, where depending on which part of the world you're right now or you're from. So, again, let me just quickly introduce myself. I am Jeff Morales, and I am the Director for Legal and Case Management for Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. So, today we're very thrilled on this topic that has been selected for this week's webinar in which we'll be discussing what prevailing wage determination and notice of filing is. And our hope, I think the main objective of this webinar is that we'll have a fundamental understanding of these legal documents that are required for your petitions. And we have great topics or great subtopics that we've prepared for you just to give you somehow like an overview of the flow of today's webinar. We'll be discussing the definition for sure of a prevailing wage determination, what it is, what are the advantages of it, and also like the notice of filing. And we'll also discuss like a high level process flow of how it works, how worldwide health staff solutions coordinate with our health facility partners in ensuring that these legal documents are prepared and done accurately when we file this or file these documents. Later, we'll also discuss the validity and the cooling period of these documents. And lastly, of course, like any webinar that we're doing on a week-to-week basis, we'll give time for a question and answer portion. Cool. So I think let's start off by defining what a prevailing wage determination and a notice of filing is. Just wait. Perfect. So actually, there's an act or a law in the in the U.S. It's called the Immigration and Nationality Act, in which it really requires that the hiring of a foreign worker will not somehow impact or affect the wages and working conditions of the U.S. workers. And somehow to comply with this law, the U.S. Department of Labor regulations require that the wages that are being offered to a foreign worker must be the prevailing wage rate for that particular job opening, specific to the area of the employment, whether which state or county you are assigned to. Now, this prevailing wage rate is the average wage paid similar to the employed workers in a particular the specific location in which or the area of the intended employment. So that's what a prevailing wage determination. And I think the main advantage of this, it's really to secure and assure all of our candidates that their salary that is being offered to them, it is really near within the labor market of the area that they are assigned to, right? So that is a what is a prevailing wage determination. Now, on what the definition of notice of filing, because they come hand in hand, and most all of the cases that we're dealing. If you can just go to the next slide. A notice of filing, normally this is intended really to advise that the current employees of the facility that you're assigned to, that there is a job opening and this will be open for a foreign applicant. Now try to somehow if we can relate it to like an internal job posting in which the let's say one of our big partners right now currently it is Common Spirit Health. And in one of their locations, if they're looking for international nurses, they have to post and inform all of their employees that there's a job opening and there is certain information that is required or mandated by the Department of Labor, such as the position, the job description, the title, the work site location, what are the like the roles and responsibilities or duties, and also the experience required for that position. And this is what's critical. They have to post that within their business premises within 10 consecutive business days before they can take down that notice of filing. Again, I will repeat it. They should post it within in 10 consecutive business days before they take it down, right? So that's what is a notice of filing. Now, moving on to transition, just to give everyone an overview of what the flow of how Worldwide Health Staff Solutions prepare these documents. As what I've mentioned, we've prepared like a high level process flow of what it's like. So if we can move on to the next slide, let's start off with the prevailing wage determination. Now, what happens is we need to confirm if the information that we're putting in the prevailing wage document is accurate. Hence, we coordinate that to our health facility partners. Hey, these are the details. You have to somehow fill these information in, and they have to somehow send it back. We call it. We have a document. It's called a checklist in which the health facility partners would have to fill that out. And once you receive that, we have to prepare the prevailing wage determination document. And we have internal processes in place to ensure that we do it accurately. We have a lovely team of U.S. Immigration lawyers. We've got paralegals, legal assistants, and legal clerks working hand in hand with our account management team and ensuring that the information that are um, put in the prevailing wage determination document is accurate. Once we have all of those information, we file the PWD to the U.S. Department of Labor. And right now, normally it takes 6 months for the U.S. Department of Labor to somehow give us the PWD back with the confirmed determined wage. And on the last step, you'll see we in Worldwide Health Hub Solutions, we proactively file all of these PWDs in a timely manner because they have their validity and they have their expiration date. And we will discuss that shortly. Now, on the notice of filing process flow, if you can move on to the next slide. So it's for notice of filing, what we do is we prepare the notice of filing document with the correct details and the determined wage. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time explaining why they are like sometimes they work hand in hand, right? On the notice of filing, we have to include what the determined wage is, and it should be consistent with what has been approved by the Department of Labor. That's very critical, right? So as what I've mentioned, we always ensure that the prevailing wage, the determined wage, is really consistent on the notice of filing document. When we prepare this, and when we send after we prepare the document, we send a notice of filing to the facility or to the health facility. Now, what the health facility will do, as what I've mentioned earlier, they will post this to their business premises with for 10 consecutive business days. Then once they've taken it down, they will be sending back the notice of filing to us, of course. So at least we can insert that in the petition, which again, notice of filing together with the prevailing wage determination document, there are requirements for the petitions. Then, as what we've mentioned, notice of filing has its own validity. And what we do is we proactively prepare and send all of these NOF to the employer, to the facility, to ensure that we have notice of filing ready. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times validity and expiration date. Now, these basic information is very important for all of our candidates to understand. Now, the PWD and NOF, they have different, I would say, expiration and validity, and we'll be explaining that right now. If you can go move on to the next slide. Perfect. Thank you. Let's start off with the cooling period, right? So prevailing wage determination, this is not applicable because PWDs don't have any cooling off period. That we fought that yeah that is required. Unlike notice of filing, it has 30 days from the time the NOF was taken down. So what that means, if let's say the employer has taken down the notice of filing in their business premises, let's say November 1st of this year, we cannot use the notice of filing within the next 30 days for all of the petitions that we'll be filing. We have to wait for 30 days because that is the defined or a defined cooling period for notice of filing. Now, on the validity and expiration, this is a bit tricky for PWDs because it has two different Department of Labor issues two different prevailing wage determinations. There's is what we call 90-day validity. There's what we call like a 1 year validity. For 90 days, obviously it's pretty straightforward. The expiration date is 90 days from the time or from the date when the wage was determined. For 1 year prevailing wage determination, let's say it has been determined, the date that it was determined by the Department of Labor, let's say August 2nd, right? The expiration date, even though it says it's 1 year, it's always June 30th as the expiration date because that's when the financial year of the US ends, right? So again, I will repeat, for 1 year PWDs, their expiration date is always at the end of the financial year, which is June 30th. Now, for notice of filing, in comparison, it only has 180 days as its validity from the date that it has been taken down. Going back to my example earlier, let's say the employer, the health facility has taken down the notice of filing. We count 180 days as its validity. After that, then the notice of filing cannot be used anymore. Then there should be another. We have to go through the process again of preparing the document. We send it back to the facility, and so on and so forth. Cool. So that's what the cooling period and validity for prevailing wage determination and notice of filing. I think those are the core topics or basic information definitely that we have prepared for candidates that are watching right now about prevailing wage determination and notice of filing. Now, I think this is where what's more thrilling. And in the next, I would say 10 minutes, next few minutes, we'll be answering any questions and or clarifications from anyone. I believe CJ as well has prepared some questions that we'll be going through in the next few minutes. But CJ?
Oh yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, that's really informative about notice of filing and prevailing wage determination. And thank you for discussing those information. So I've seen a question from the chat. Let's start with this question from Leonardo. So for example, my salary at the time of signing the contract was $41. When I arrive in the USA, will this wage be updated to PWD?
Now the let me read the answer. For example, my salary of the at the time of signing the contract was $41 when I arrived in the USA. Will this wage be updated to prevailing wage to the PWD or to the determined wage? Definitely, but normally I think we don't want to somehow make these changes. Though again, I just want to be 100% clear. your health facility, they are very well aware of what the determined wage of the particular state or county. So whenever the offer letter beforehand, before it gets rolled out or sent to you guys, your employer or the health facility has to adhere on what the determined wage for that particular occupation. Because again, we cater different occupations. We have registered nurses, MLTs, um, nurse aides. So on depending on your occupation, your employer or the health facility should adhere to that determined wage. Now, I have experience in couple of instances in which during the long process of a candidate, maybe they are waiting for their petition to be approved, that it has already been filed, and recruitment team would somehow reach out to us and hey, Jeff, we have to somehow roll out an updated offer because there's a slight change on the determined wage. Hence, they would prepare a new offer letter and we send it to the candidate for the candidate to sign and agree on. So that's what the process is, Leonardo. Thank you for the great question.
And thanks, Jeff, for answering that question. And next question is from Sunshine. How we will know that they filed the I-140 and how we will know the PWD is current and no news after sending all my documents.
That's this is a very good question because as what I've mentioned, I also oversee case management, specifically on the early stages of the immigration process. Now, the first question: how will we know that the I-140 has been filed, and how will we know that the PWD is current? First and foremost, your point of contact, Sunshine, would really be your case manager, and our case manager is being supported by senior case managers, and I have myself as well. So we are your point persons. Definitely, there are instances normally for candidates to just accepted the offers. They also coordinate with their recruiters. So there's a lot of people that you can reach out to know whether to reach out and ask for any updates. However, we strive to be proactive in our approach and the communication that we send out. In filing of your I-140, we have a process in place in which with after 30 days or let's say 35 days, once your I-140 has been filed, we do send receipt numbers as a confirmation that your I-140 petition has been filed. And we send these out to our documents. Our case managers do it. And they collaborate with our legal operations, our legal assistants in securing that receipt number, and we send that out. To your question that when your I-140 is filed, how will you know it? Your case manager will definitely let you know that your petition has been filed, and they will explain to you what the next steps are.
All
Thank you
right.
again for
Uh,
your question. It's very relevant. Thank you, Sunshine.
Thanks, Jeff, as well. Another question is from Jonah. What's the average time for a notice of filing to be approved?
Yeah, a notice of filing. I just want to clarify. It doesn't, unlike PWD, it needs an approval by the U.S. Department of Labor, because the U.S. Department of Labor, we have to wait for 6 months. Normally, that's the average time right now for them to send back the prevailing wage determination. The notice of filing is more dependent with your employer or the health facility, Jonna. On the process flow that we've presented, once we've prepared the notice of filing, we send it to your employer. The only mandate or the requirement set by the Department of Labor is they have to post this in their business premises for 10 consecutive business days, right? Once they have completed the 10 consecutive days, they have to take it down, right? And that's when they can send back the notice of filing document to us. So we can include that in the petition, the let's say I-140 petition, when we file this to the USCIS, right? That is the only, for me, the most critical aspect here is the 10 consecutive business days. Because let's say if they're short, right? What we do, we review it thoroughly. We have to count the 10 consecutive business days. Let's say the employer is short for a day. We have to send it back to your employer, right? And I know that somehow upsets or frustrates some of our candidates because it would cause a delay, but we want to do things right because we don't what we're trying to. I think the worst case scenario is we we send the petition with the notice of filing, and USCIS will come back with us and request for more evidence or rectify that aspect. Then that would cause more delay. So to your question, average time, 10 consecutive business days for your employer to really like post that in within their business premises.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great
So
question.
let's
Love GJ, I'm
no,
loving the questions here.
oh, yeah, that's
Keep them
cool.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I have more for you. So
Oh,
here's a
okay.
question. Here's a question from BB. Will a new will a new notice of filing capture my previous priority date?
Oh, those are, I would say those are two different I would say topics. Whoever the BB is, Mr. or Miss, those are two different topics. The previous priority date is a different process, and again, I have to check whether there is already a webinar in the past months discussing the previous priority date. Or if there's none, maybe CJ, we can take this as an action item out of this webinar. Because if there's no, we have to somehow schedule a webinar explaining the process of capturing the previous priority date. But to the question whether this has a direct correlation or with notice of filing, the answer, it doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of priority date, we still like one more question, like regarding that one. So, do you have idea why the priority date of 2024 still can't proceed to NVC fee bill?
Sorry. I think okay for the priority date question as what I've mentioned. I think we have to take this offline, because I can definitely provide an answer, but it is really an entirely set different topic, and the subject matter that we are scheduled to discuss right now. Here's what I can recommend. I could leave, or I'm not sure how would I leave my email address, CJ, if you can help me. Because my
Yeah.
email, I'll say it as jmorales@healthstaff.org, and we can definitely discuss it offline. Our case managers
Okay.
for this particular stage of your immigration process, we can discuss that. And as what I've mentioned on the first question, anything about the priority date. So I think I just want to clarify. PD is different from PWD. PWD is prevailing wage determination, which is a legal document. Maybe for some who just joined late, because that's we've discussed it the onset of this webinar. I'll repeat it again. Our subject matter right now, it is prevailing wage determination, in which this is a legal document required for your petition. And what it entails is that the process is the Department of Labor provides us an approved or determined wage or rate of your particular possession, depending on which location you're assigned to. Right? And this is a requirement by USCIS that we have to include in the petitions that we're filing. So maybe CJ, if you can filter
Yeah.
the questions about priority date, I think this is a great and topic that we can discuss in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for
thank you for
sure.
the question, Soy Soy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. What should I do if I notice a delay in the process from the facility or employer side?
That really happens, and I'll keep it real. And I want to be candid. That does happen, and I want to set expectations that we do our best and following through. Like our account management team follows up religiously to our health facility partners, all of our partners, to ensure that they would, especially for the notice of filing, that they would, once they receive the NOF, they will post it right away in their business within their business premises. So at least the 10 business days, consecutive business days, will start rolling. And once it is done, they have to somehow timely send it back to us. But to your question, what can you do? You have to open the communication with your case manager, right? I think that's the best thing that I can give out to you, because your case manager is equipped. All of our case managers are equipped to explain to you, to provide you updates on what the status of the notice of filing. Is there any delay? If there's any, maybe an ETA that we can provide. In some instances, we can't, because we don't want to somehow give you a false promise or a false date in which we're anticipating any delays. So that's the best route for you. For that question, coordinate with your case manager.
Okay, next question, Jeff. What is the purpose of the PWD process and how does it affect my case?
Yeah, the purpose of the PWD one, it's a requirement. Really, we cannot file a petition if there's no PWD. I think that's the short and sweet answer to that question. And it does affect, maybe on how it really affects a case. There could be certainly some delays that we're anticipating. Though I've mentioned 6 months, there are instances that it could get delayed for 6 months and some weeks. There are instances that the Department of Labor would send back the PWD like 5 months after 5 months of filing. So it does vary, really, and that's how it really affects the case. It could delay, or it could somehow get your petition to be filed sooner. Thank you
Okay,
for the
so we're
question.
down we're down with our last question, Jeff. If
Yep.
there's an issue with my NOF or PWD, how is it resolved?
Yeah, that's a very good question on how it will be resolved. I would somehow categorize that on what's within our control and what is not. Because any possible delays from the Department of Labor for the prevailing wage determination, let's say, that's something that we're just all hopeful as you guys are, that they would send back the soonest the prevailing wage determination. On what's within our control, how we resolve it first. um, for such instances, we want to really communicate, and during these times that we would experience delay, we over communicate as much as possible with all of the candidates that are affected, because for us communication is very important. Secondly, we do follow through. Again, we have stringent follow-up mechanisms that we implement whenever there are delays with the facility. Our account management team is always on top of that, and really sending those follow-ups and coordinating, checking with our partners on top of their regular cadence and touch points and a weekly and a monthly basis. So those are the things that we do to ensure that we resolve any issues or delays for the prevailing wage determination document and the notice of filing.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Okay, so that's it for our Q&A session. And for all of our viewers out there, please like us on Facebook to like get updated and for any immigration updates and new positions. And also, we always have these webinars like on weekly basis. For next week, we will have like our webinar with Ron on, and some folks from the company. And the title is Navigating Lawful Permanent Resident and U.S. Arrival Steps for Hassle-Free Immigration. So I'll also put that on the chat so that you can check it. And also I'm gonna put the link for our Facebook page as well. Please like us and follow us on Facebook. And next one would be our referrers program. So this is always running in the company. If you have a colleague, a nurse colleague that has passed the NCLEX and has minimum 1 year of current bedside experience, please if they want to work in the United States, refer them to us, and you will earn up to $250 for any successful referred nurse. Okay, and Jeff, do you have any last or final message for our viewers out there?
No, just a huge thank you to everyone. For to all of the candidates that we have that have joined and maybe would rewatch this webinar. We can't thank you enough for choosing Worldwide Health Staff Solutions as your partner, and we continue to extend our utmost somehow commitment that we are with you every step of the way. If you have any questions or any clarifications, please reach out to your case manager. Again, we have a great, robust support group who are always ready and available to answer all of your questions or clarifications. That's
Okay,
it.
thanks, Jeff. So yeah, thank you all for joining our webinar today.